Most things that we're looking at sowing in July are actually going to be things that benefit from the cooler weather as these plants mature, and then also the light levels reducing as we go into the autumn and winter months. While you can direct sow pretty much everything, if your beds aren't already empty and you're waiting for certain things to come out, then actually sowing them into sows will give you that benefit of 4 to 8 weeks of the plants already mature, and then of course less likely to be eaten by pests. So the first things we're going to mainly think about is our brassicas, so cauliflowers, and these would be for spring harvest now. Kohlrabi can definitely go to seed if they're sown too early, so the light levels reducing will really help these. Kale, and then we have swede. Now this can be sown direct or it can be sown into cells. Some people do find that it does better from a direct sowing. And then we have cabbage, and this will be for spring varieties now, and broccoli. And then things like Chinese cabbage and pak choi will really benefit being sown towards the end of July. These really are more susceptible to bolting, so later in the month will be beneficial for them. Florence fennel is another one that when we sow it too early, it does bolt too quickly. So now we're past the summer solstice, it's a great time to get them in, as well as beetroot. Now, usually I will be looking at the first half of July to make sure that they do really well, but you may find that you can sow them a little bit later. And then chard, chicory and endive. We can continue succession sowing spring onions. We can start some winter spinach, and then we can also sow some lettuce. These may be more difficult to sow at this time of year depending on the temperatures we're having, and they don't usually germinate over 30 Celsius, so do play around with when you might want to do them. And then we also have things like dwarf peas and dwarf beans. It is usually the dwarf varieties from this time of the year that we are looking at using. The tall varieties usually need to get completely up their supports before they start producing, so they might not have time to actually produce. So the dwarf varieties are much quicker. For direct sowing, we are really looking at carrots, which I usually finish sowing by the end of July. And then we've got our summer radish, which you may find do well at this point depending on the weather we're having, and our winter radish, which really do want to go in around mid-July for me. For the herbs, we're looking at things that are likely to have bolted from an earlier sowing, so they benefit from a successional sowing. So this would be things like dill, parsley, coriander. You may also find that things like basil will be fine from a later sowing as well. And then for our flowers, there are a few annuals that may be fast enough to sow from this point, but we're going to really talk about biannuals. And you could also look at doing some perennials, but have a look on different websites and see what they suggest can be sown at this point. But the ones I'm going to mention today are things like dianthus, wallflowers, foxgloves, and of course forget-me-nots. If you haven't actually got any seeds to sow at this time of the year and you're looking to buy some, then Vital Seeds do a second spring collection, which are all seeds that can be sown at this point. But other sites will also tell you seeds that are suitable to be sown each month, so do have a look and check that out. I also do give information of what I sow myself each month in my newsletter, so if you'd like to sign up for that, then just comment newsletter and I'll send you the links over. But otherwise, let me know if you have any questions, and hopefully all your sowings do well and we don't have too much heat to dry them out too quickly, which we have done with the June sowing so far.